This video was chosen for production by my subscribers on Patreon. If you'd like to help pick the next one, the link is in the description. Hello everyone. Today's video is looking at the various industries, companies and private owner wagons on the island of Sodor. In the railway series, we do hear a lot about the troublesome trucks, but rarely about what they're used for. Here, we'll take a quick look at the fictional industrial and commercial sides of Sodor, as well as a look at what the privately owned trucks may have been invented to do. Firstly, let's take a quick look at all the industries Sodor is known to have. About half of the island's land and economy is based on agriculture, with oats, barley and turnips being major crops, and dairy, wool, bread and beer also being known products. Fishing is vital to the island as well, with a secret smoking process making Tidmouth kippers a popular export. Over the years, zinc, lead, copper and silver have all been mined, and more recently uranium has too. Coal, once thought not to exist on the island, has been found at the northern tip and may in future be mined. The quarries of the island produce a stone that has great weather resisting properties, and there are also slate and granite quarries. China clay can be found at the south of the island and is a major export. Aluminium is imported and then smelted here. The power for this industry comes from a hydroelectric dam. Another major industry is, of course, tourism. The island is home to natural spas, beautiful scenery and good fishing, as well as having great historical landmarks, and is a natural draw for rail enthusiasts. Now we've explored all the industries, let's take a look at the companies seen in the series, working through the books in order and then any supplementary information that we know. Throughout the first 11 books, Dalby rarely shows any of the businesses on Sodor. There are several shops, and one, C.R. Dalby, even seems to have more than one premises. The first business seen throughout these books is Croc's Scrapyard, the yard along Edward's branch line from where Trevor was rescued. We do make a visit to a mine in Gordon the Big Engine, when Thomas crashes through a mine shaft. These lead mines were closed after they were fully exploited, but were later reopened when it was found uranium could be mined here. It's possible there was a quarry near here at Knapford too, but it only appears on an old model made by Wilbur Audrey. More on the model railways later though. The Ulstead Mining Company was the business that got these mines dug in the first place, and they brought in a company called A.W. Dry & Co. to assist with the drainage problems in this area. I'll have to go into this company in more detail in another video, but suffice to say if it wasn't for them, there may have never been a rail network in Sodor as we know it, and the land around Knapford would have been unrecognisable. A certain Topham Hatt was brought to Sodor with this company, so I think that shows how vital they were for the island's development. Later on, in Percy the Small Engine, we can see a sign for Central Hotels, a company that will also appear in a future book. This shows signs of the island's tourist economy, but there is also a great image of Percy at Tidmouth Docks. Here we can see a ship's chandler. That's a company that outfits ships, called E.T.L. Marriott. This company is named after the editor of the railway series, Eric Marriott. This company makes sense at Tidmouth, as it is a busy port with vessels needing supplies. The other business we can see is called G. Jolliffe, and on this one, the company sign is a little unclear. I think it says corn and feed, as in supplies for livestock, which makes sense with the amount of farm animals they have on Sodor, but this is not certain. These docks are owned and run by the North Western Railway and are very profitable. In Kenny's tenure as illustrator, we see more companies in the illustrations. Now, this one in the 8 famous engines may not be on Sodor to be honest, although I think it is. It's called A.B. Roving Limited. However, it could equally be Ab Roving Limited, a company named after the River Ab near Cronk. This would tie in nicely with Cronk being a town that has several small electrical firms. The following book shows 2 small shops in G.B. Barber's and a cafe called MC Buns, as well as 2 mechanical firms in Tidmouth, Light Engineering Co. and Bolt and Nut Engineering Company. Having these industries close to the main station of the North Western Railway and Tidmouth Harbour makes sense. Branch line engine shows Daisy taking a milk van. The milk comes from St Pedrock's Dairy in Elsbridge, famed for its Aylesdale butter and Callan cheese. The Ailes Valley up to Farquhar is renowned for its cattle, as well as the breed of sheep, the Sodor Black Poll, which gives good wool which is now spun at Ulstead Woolen Mills. Farquhar is also home to Thomas Cousins, a blacksmith business which has grown to become a workshop that supports the whole area. Little Old Engine introduces C.G. Slate Co., that's Craven Gate Slate Company. This company was formerly the Crovens Gate Mining Company Limited. This company was instrumental in establishing railways, including the Skarloey, on the island of Sodor, and after initially mining copper at Wardfell, it has turned its attention to slate when the copper veins ran dry. The quarry was worn out in the 1950s and sold in 1960 to the Ministry of Defence, and an alternative slate quarry at Rennius was found in 1951. As we move to the books illustrated by Edwards, we see the initial company name, the Cravensgate Mining Company, above the same building in very old engines. We do not see much of the Peel-Godred branch line in mountain engines, but this line is powered by electricity. It is run by electric engines whose power is generated by a hydroelectric dam managed by the Peel-Godred Power Company. This dam also powers the smelters run by the Sodor Aluminium Company. During construction of an extension at the aluminium works, Stewart and Falcon were briefly employed here. Mainline engine shows us our first marked private owner wagons in the series, but more on those later. We see another sign for Central Hotels, as well as this interesting building which looks to be a smelters marked Sodor Mines Limited. There were lead and zinc mines known to be nearby, but it's currently unknown what this smelters handles. It could indicate materials are transported along Edwards branch line to it though. It also introduces us to the Sodor China Clay Company that mines China clay near Brendam and owns the tank engine twins Bill and Ben. In small railway engines, the Arlesdale Railway is introduced. The railway was, in part, built to bring spoil from old lead mines at Casnahowen, Arlesdale and Farquhar Road down the valley. It is then taken by standard gauge rail to the Arlesdale Ballast and Granite Company at Kildane, where it is processed into weed-resistant ballast. The stone from the granite quarry at Marthwaite is also processed here. There have been other nearby stone quarries too, at Drogany Clagan and Craigweir. A nearby watermill makes flour. Enterprising Engines shows another industry at Cronk, the maltsters, which produces malt for brewing beer amongst other things. I won't go into every pub and hotel mentioned on Sodor, but there is at least one brewery here called Felgoods based at Farquhar, which may well use malt from this company. A couple of road vehicles like this removals van and this road haulage one can be seen too. The last Wilbur audiobook, also the last illustrated by Edwards, introduces the Farquhar Quarry Company, which owns Mavis the Quarry Diesel at Anofa Quarry. The only business I could find in Christopher Audrey's books is this van marked as Johnson's. Other firms known to exist in this universe are a builder's lorry called Tyler's, possibly a reference to a builder or roof tiler, and a van called W.H. Jones can also be seen in the end papers. In Percy the Small Engine and the Scarf, a lorry labelled Knapford Removals can be seen. One final company that deserves a mention is Sodor Roadways. They control buses and road freight transport on Sodor, and as such Bertie, Bolgie and Algie are all part of their fleet. Now we have a better idea of the industries and companies created for this universe. Let's take a look at the private owner wagons seen in the series. Two obvious ones are the Sodor China Clay trucks, seen on the Brendam branch with Bill and Ben, and the Farquhar Quarry Company ones, seen on Thomas's branch line with Mavis and Toby. Scruffy from Oliver the Western Engine is an obvious one too, as his side can clearly be read. SC Ruffy & Co, Ballast Contractors, Tidmouth, Sodor, so we know Scruffy is a privately owned ballast wagon. In the same illustration, two other private owners can be seen, Fred Pelham and ULP. Like SC Ruffy, Fred Pelham seems to be another ballast company. ULP is more obscure though. Another wagon with a similar livery ending in P can be seen at Brendam Docks in mainline engines. My guess, and it is only a guess, is that the U may stand for Ulfsted, as it is not a hugely common initial. Another private owner wagon is TLB. This is seen in mainline engines at the dock amongst some Sodor China Clay Company trucks. This is likely a reference to a real-life China Clay Company, Taylor Lowe Brothers, who operated where Bill and Ben's real-life counterparts worked. This is virtually confirmed in the surprise packet that says it, along with the Sodor China Clay Company truck, are full of China. The surprise packet also introduces a tanker owned by Diesoil, a company whose name is a portmanteau of diesel and oil. The text confirms the tanker is carrying oil, as you'd expect. A similar private tanker can be found on Wilbert's model of the Farquhar branch line. It is owned by Sodor Oils Limited. These two wagons suggest there may be at least one refinery on the island. There is also a coal truck called Old King Coal. The name is certainly a pun on Old King Cole, a British nursery rhyme. There are two other private open wagons on the model, Sun Coal, based on a real company from Nottingham, and City of Emneth Gas. This is named after an old parish of Wilberts. However, Emneth is a small village, not a city, so it's unclear if the open wagon relates to the real-life village. As such, Old King Cole and City of Emneth Gas may be Sodor companies. And that's that for the known businesses, companies and industries on Sodor. It's a shame it took so long to see the first private owner wagon, and that we don't see more of that side of Sodor industry in the books. I'd also just love to know what ULP truly stands for. This video was a bit of a rush to finish due to the mayhem at the end of summer, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the Patreon like these fine folk to help pick the next video subject, get early access to new content and help support the channel.